Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and it's good to see that many of you are interested in this new PCC from Double Eagle. Many of you are eagerly anticipating this. So we're going to take a closer look at this today. We're going to tear some of it down and have a look what's going on inside. So let's just get straight into it. I'm going to split the upper and the lower here. Now I have got another one of these on the way which has the normal stock fitted. So it will have a stock similar to what's on the Double Eagle Mark 18s. So it will have this grip, but it will have, just imagine the stock tube on the back is like this, and it has like a Daniel Defence stock. I don't know if it's the same size as this one or a smaller one. What I have seen, because I have seen a couple of these real ones, that the copies that are on these guns, or the unofficial ones, shall we say, in terms of what's sold for the real steel market, they do seem a little bit larger in size. So I've got one of them on the way, should be with me next week, and we can delve into that and see what the differences are. But in the first video, you'll have seen we looked at the buffer system and the buffer that they are using. Now, if we compare that to a normal model, like an M4 model that they do, we can have a look at the differences here. So there is a normal M4 buffer from like DE. And we can also compare this to the Ghetto Blaster. So let's pull the Ghetto Blaster open here. This one, of course, you'll see has one of my heavy buffers in it, but the standard buffer that comes with it looks like this. So you can see there's differences in springs. The Ghetto Blasters have a much smaller spring. The spring fits inside the buffer, which is why we did the heavy buffers, to just increase a bit of weight there on top of the blowback weights that we do anyway, which I'll be looking at that as well in just a moment. So we can get the Ghetto Blaster one out the way. Let's put that to one side, and the normal MWS. So this looks like the same style spring, so it's just a normal M4 buffer spring. Just you'll see in the PCC, especially the one with the PDW stock, we're probably about 60% of the size. So and put that one back in there, and of course we'll see the buffers. This is kind of like slightly like the Ghetto Blaster buffer, but it's got a piece on the back. We've got an indentation here, not sure what that's from, maybe it's just the moulding process. But if you guys want it, we'll do some upgrades for this, so don't worry whatsoever. So let's get rid of this normal buffer back into the Mark 18 like that. To get a cloth handy, because there's quite a bit of grease floating around here, so bear with me. So normal buffer, well, the PCC buffer for the PDW stock, as you see there, it's a bit similar. So is it the same geometry on the top? So the geometry on the top is a little bit different as well. Right, so buffer, what obviously interfaces with the buffer is the bolt, of course. Now what I do want to check, which we can do this here, is we can check it against their normal bolt system and charging handle. So straight away off the bat there, we can see the charging handle is actually smaller. Again, it's probably about 90% of the size, so it's just ever so slightly thinned down, obviously for the receiver difference. The bolts, the buffer on the back looks like a normal buffer, so if you want to fit the Jaeger Precision blowback weights, we do them in titanium and stainless, they should fit this. It looks pretty much exactly the same size here. So that will, the major bolt will indeed go in there, so that's absolutely fine. Right, let's get the buffer out of the way. We're going to take a look and see what's going on inside this bolt. Let's get some tools out here. We're going to need a Phillips. I always struggle with this set to find the biggest size of a certain thing. So Phillips screwdriver. If we need a bigger one, we can always get one. So we've got, if you line up the bolts at the front there, all the sizing is pretty much the same. There's obviously difference in parts with these components on the top, and of course the plugs and stuff like that. but the bolt moving forward that way is pretty much identical in length, but there are some geometry differences, so they're not going to be cross compatible here. So we can pull these screws off the top here like that. Should be able to pull that spring out if it wants to come out. And we'll just move this forward there. There goes the spring, and we can just cant this forward, and then that piece comes off there. And then to get the rest of the bolt apart, we just need to pull this little clip out the back, which you'll be used to, and then we can pull the nozzle out there, and you can definitely see that this is a shortened down nozzle system. And you can also see that the plug on the back here, which does look like it's made out of a nice material, is also different. It's longer. So if we separate these by the charging handles here, we're going to do the normal double eagle MWS bolts. This one comes out the Mark 18, but it really doesn't make any difference. They're all pretty much exactly the same, bar some aesthetic differences. So this one's got the DD markings on it. The Noveskis have the Noveski logo on them, so a little bit easier to pull the spring out of that one. We edge that forward. We pull the clip off the back here, and then we can pull the nozzle out. So you'll see the size difference here. So it's much shortened down. So everything up here, it looks pretty much the same. Like even the mouldings and stuff on the plastic look almost identical to my eye. It's basically they've just took this section here and moved it back. So not much by the looks of it. Do I have a ruler here? Yes, I do. A little tape measure and get a rough degree of space in here. So it looks about 10 mil, just under 10 mil. So I'd probably say like 8-9 mil difference in length. And of course, like I said before, you can see the difference here with the back pins, this one obviously being much longer. But let's tear it down further here. So we know what's going on inside these. So we're going to take this screw off the top. Sometimes they can be a bit tricky. And we've also seen these screws come slightly rounded from factory, so just be careful. And we can pull that out there. All that looks pretty much the same, but again, we'll compare it in just a moment. And the valve does indeed look very similar. So let's do the same on the normal MWS M4 bolt. Same screw, drop your screwdriver as normal, take your screw out, pull your assembly out the back. So the nozzle spring does look different because obviously there's a size difference there. So spring, valve. So the valves are pretty much the same part there. So there doesn't really seem to my eyeballs that there's anything different. They look like the same part. However, the back retaining piece for the valve looks the same. So that means end passes and such like that should be fine. You will see a difference here though, because of the nozzle length difference in the springs. So this part's different and the spring's different. Now you could, if you wanted to, clip a spring down and bend the wire around. Now I've never had a spring failure from a double eagle as of yet. So if we do see failures, we do upgraded nozzle springs on the website, which are the easy springs for your normal MWS, double eagle, salvos, everything, all that good stuff. If we see these failing, we will do a part, but up until this date, I haven't seen a double eagle one fail. So the Marie ones will hold out for, 6 to 12 months, depending on how much you shoot it. Mine took, in my original MWS that I gamed heavily, it took about 2 to 3 years for mine to break, but I probably wasn't shooting as much as everybody else. So yeah, there's the differences. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab an impasse valve off the shelf, and we're going to get one in here and see if it fits all honky-dory. So for your adaptive valves, we do this at Jaeger Precision. We have sold thousands of these things. They are robust, reliable, they seem to work. We've yet to have one fail. Now, we've had people wind the screws out too far, and then the screw, they've like lost it or it's dropped out, which is like a user error type thing. However, the only real issues that we've ever seen are tolerance differences. And what I mean by that is I fit a lot of these to a lot of these replicas. And MWS's, guns modify nozzles, they drop in straight away, you have no issues whatsoever. We did have to adapt it a little bit over time to cater for the tolerance differences. But out of all the double eagle and salvo guns that I fit these into, I would say 9 out of 10 will go in just fine, and you'll just get that 10% that will just be a little bit sticky, which you just take a little bit of the coating off the valve and it fits in just fine. So this looks like it's going to go in absolutely fine. We can take the valve, we can put it on the spring. We can shove this into the nozzle and you'll see it's gone in there, no problem whatsoever. And then we look through this hole, if I can get the camera to focus on it, and we just push it till that lines up like that. You've got a little hole there. Hold that in place so that's free. Take your screw and push it back in here. So even though I've covered the MPass in many videos, people still ask me if I do like a tutorial how to fit it. It is literally just a pull in, pull out, pull in, put in valve. It's very straightforward. We have had people put them in backwards, which you know, perhaps they're new to teching. It's one of them things, but there you go. What you just want to look out for when fitting these things, so if I've got something pokey, is you just need to make sure that the valve can move free like that, which it can. So we've got an MPass in there. So in terms of the PCC bolt, things that are compatible are the valve springs, the valves, the plastic piece that sits behind the valve is fine. The nozzle, the main nozzle spring and the rear piece here are different, and the actual nozzle itself are different as well. So just want to get that pointed out to a lot of you. We can slot this back into the bolt now. We pull it through like that. We basically take a little pokey tool again, it doesn't really matter what it is, and we just put it in the hole in that piece, and we just pull the whole system back like that. And then while that's held back, this piece, see if this piece is different. It doesn't look different. So this is the MWS, or the normal M4 one. So that piece again looks like they've used the same parts. That's fine. So we can pop that original one back in there, and that holds it in place. You just line your nozzle up like that. Now you want to put this piece in next, so you just pull your nozzle forward and hold it with your finger, slot it in to the nozzle like that, and then it needs to come back at a slight angle just so it can go over the turrets here. So then put your screws in first. It probably sounds counterintuitive now, but trust me. So we do have we have screw length differences? I don't think so. They look maybe like a tiny little bit shorter. If there is a slight difference to the length, the shorter ones usually go in the back, like what we saw on the BRM 180. Spin these in like that. You can tighten and knit these down, and then you just want to check to make sure that this piece moves backwards and forwards. And then you basically take this piece, you push it all the way back like that, slide your spring into the channel, get a little flathead screwdriver or something just to push the spring back in there and latch it, because you've got like a little nub that sits on this plastic piece here which basically holds the spring in place. So that's what you just want to latch it on there so it doesn't go anywhere. So that's the bolt back together. This piece across the top again is different. So when the bolt's forward in the receiver, this like sort of flanged piece on there covers up the hop wheel and blocks it. So valve we can put to one side. The rear piece, like I've said before, it looks exactly the same. The geometry, maybe they changed. It almost kind of looks like they've widened this geometry out a little bit, much like our blowback weights. So you'll see these are the original DE ones, and they've got like a very square chamfered face here. And when we did, I'll get one out so I can show you. When we did the Aga Precision blowback weights, I changed this geometry to make it much smoother. So I'm going to pull one out of my Ghetto Blaster here so I can show you. So you'll see we massively filleted this to really smooth that out and just help it sort of glide the buffer into place properly, rather than it being like, you know, sharp edges. And it looks like they've kind of done the same thing here, not as aggressive as our bolt weights, but they have smoothed that out rather than have it have sharp edges. So if you wanted to put one of these on your PCC, it should go in just fine. Pop that back in the Ghetto Blaster before I forget. So that's all the differences in the bolts. What I'll quickly do is reassemble the Mark 18 one. Now I still need to put an impasse in this, but I'll do that at another date because I haven't got that far with the Mark 18 yet. So we push this valve back in, line up the hole, put the screw in. It's got a coarse thread on this screw. Like that. You don't have to go massively tight with it. Simple as we drop that in just like the PCC. If you guys have worked on, you know, your MWSs and stuff before, this is all, you know, familiar to you. You know what you're doing. It's more catered to those out there that are maybe new to it. Or if you're not feeling as confident with your PCC, you can follow this to show you how to do it. So same thing again. We pop the screws in, get them started, pop the screws in first. We do sell upgraded screws for these that have, they're like flanged Torx screws, much better, made from stainless and come pre-coated with Loctite on there, which I think they're good to up to like 5 or 6 uses before the Loctite starts to wear out. There we go, we'll just put that back together there. Right, so charging handles are different as well, just you need to keep that in mind. If you've got, you know, PTS or whatever branded charging handles, they're not going to fit in the PCC, but you do get a nice one out the box, and it's not incredibly heavy like the original Noveskis were. So the front end, let's have a crack at this so we can easily remove this steel flash hider. That's not a problem at all. And then we need to remove these screws, which look like a 3mm. There might be a 2.5. They are very, very close to the receiver. So let me grab a 2.5. That's a 2. 2.5 I need. 2.5. Using an Allen key is obviously going to be a little bit easier. But I tend to go for the Allen drivers themselves. It's just very, very close to the receiver, so you just need to bear that in mind. As you've sort of cracked them off, it should be a little bit easier to spin them out. You're just going to struggle to get it started. Now you could use like a normal Allen key. What you find is you're going backwards and forwards as you're trying to loosen them off there. Ideally what you want is a 2.5 that's maybe longer than the back of the receiver, just so you could spin them out real quick. So we've got 4 bolts. We'll pull these out, see if we've got any that are different lengths. So we'll see what compatibility is wise if you want to change out your rails. I don't know why you'd want to do that. It comes with quite a nice rail straight out the box, more rail space than what you'd ever need, and it fits with the Daniel Defence branding of the PCC. So we'll pull this out here. I think it's like what, a 6-7 inch handguard. You also get the model that comes with a very long handguard as well. So we're just going to spin these screws out. Sorry if this bit's boring. And then we've got the front piece like that. We've got another like intermediary collar piece. So these are what's going to grab the barrel nut here. So they're going to pinch together, and then the screws going through that piece to thread into the rail itself. So we can pull that off here. Now the receiver is very, very blocky and it's very rigid, which I like. Now, am I going to have the barrel nut tool? What did I do with the barrel nut tool? Let me find it and we'll carry on. Okay, I've got my barrel nut tool. So to take it off, I want to go that way, but we might have to put this in the receiver. So I'm going to pop the. Don't ever close your receivers together when your bolt's not in, because your buffer will shoot into your upper receiver and it'll make it difficult for you to remove it. So I'm just going to put it in here so we've got some leverage, and I'm going to give this a go at loosening it off. Oh, nope. This thing is on pretty damn tight. Oh, there we go. It's on there tight, boys and girls, so just be careful and make sure you don't put too much pressure on where you crack your receivers. So we can spin that off just like a normal Mark 18 looking barrel nut. Then we can take this other intermediary piece off. We turn our hop off. You turn your hop off by pushing the wheel towards, so pushing your finger towards the barrel. And we can take the barrel out here. So it looks standard MWS spec. Yeah, pretty standard. So all of your MWS spec parts, you know, hops, barrels, nubs, you name it, are going to be fine, just like in the other models that Double E will do. So you've always got a couple of O-rings. So peel this off here. We've got an arm, we've got a rubber, got two halves of the hop unit, and then we've got this standard hop rubber which they fit in pretty much everything, which has a small mound, and it's got like this patch on the top here. So I would be going to my go-to setup is stainless steel barrel, flamingo hot rubber, Titan nub. Sometimes with the Double Eagles you have to do a bit of fettling to get the Titan nub to sit right. It's just because it's slightly off spec to what the Titan nub was designed around, and that was the Marui. But with the way Double Eagle are going, it's almost like Double Eagle are just going to corner the market, because they do so many models now and they do it right. It's not like they're taking, which a lot of companies are probably going to do this year. They're going to go, oh, it's based on an MWS, and then they're going to put their own flair on it, and they're going to take away like the specialty of it being an MWS. And it's going to be like Celsius when they copied the Sistema platform. Each company's going to want to put their own flair on it. You know, some companies we have more hope in than others. I did see Vorska also working on an MWS. Everybody's working on MWS replicas now, and people have slated me for being an MWS fanboy all these years, and now all the manufacturers are jumping on the MWS bandwagon. So, like, kind of, what does that tell you? So let's pull the hop adjuster out just as a final part to check. So we've got a screw that we pull out from the front of the receiver there. It's gonna come out here. There we go, a little Phillips screw, and then we should be able to slide the hop adjuster out of the receiver. I imagine this hop adjuster is going to be a little bit different. If I can get it out, I'll tell you why. Let me get something to poke that out with. It's in there. There we go. Now you have to be careful when pulling these out, because you've got a little spring and a detent, which, oh, they've actually put a cap on it. Very nice. See, there's Double Eagle taking the initiative they've put a little cap on this part. So usually you have a spring and a detent which actuates, gives you the steps on your hop adjuster. And what they've done is they've just changed the geometry up of this hop adjuster slightly and put a little cap in so that spring and pin doesn't go flying. This is what looks, I'm sure I've got one over here, is a little bit different. Now, here's some standard double eagle ones, so you can see where you have the spring and the detent in normally. So in terms of thickness, they're about the same, but on the PCC one you have this cutout here and this gap, which is probably for that section in the bolt. So as this comes forward in the receiver, it's basically relieving the hop adjuster, so as this plate comes forward it covers it up so you can't see it through the receiver. So it's going to be a slightly proprietary hop adjuster, so it's not like you're going to be able to just throw a max in here or something like that. So in terms of the hop up unit itself, hop up arm, nub, barrel, hop rubber is all fine. You're going to be able to put in whatever you want. Just the hop adjuster itself, until, I don't know, maybe someone does an upgrade part, you're going to have to use the one that's come with it, or massively modify whatever you want to fit, which I just don't think will be worth the hassle. So as long as the hop arms are strong enough and they don't break, you should be absolutely fine. So the only time I've ever seen things break in these hop adjusters is the arm that applies the pressure, so they just snap. So again, if we find out that that's a massive issue, we can of course come in and make some parts for this thing. So you want this piece first, which has the two notches on. That slides on there first. Then we've got our barrel nut. And I'm not gonna, completely chonk this thing on, because I'm going to want to come back maybe at some point and fit some upgrade parts. So I'm just going to do it by hand like that. It's more than enough, because I'm going to want to come in and chop and change some parts when the time arises, and I don't want to be yanking on that receiver again. So let's put the screws in here. So what we can do is start to spin these in. You might be able to start them by hand here. Make sure everything's lined up for a start. Can put our Allen driver on an angle just to take out most of the slack of the screws. Ideally you'd want like a 2.5 Allen driver with a long handle on it. Now I'm sure I've got one somewhere that's out of the KWA AEGs, which used to use to adjust the spring guides, because they had like an adjustable spring guide on them. Which I'm not sure where that would be, because I did have a bit of a clear up at the end of last year before I did the collection video and really screwed this room up. But I think it had like a T-handle on, so I might have to find that out. It might be a good tool for this. You can get tools and sockets and stuff that have like the little elbow, which would probably help. It's not the end of the world. It's just you're not really getting much torque on this. You can get a little bit, and then you'd have to come in perhaps with like a normal Allen key. Again, which the majority of Allen keys I get included with stuff I tend to throw away, because I don't generally tend to use Allen keys. But there we go. That's back together. Very straightforward. Spin the flash hider back on. It's actually quite a nice flash hider, that, but I'm of course going to be putting a suppressor on this bad boy. What suppressor yet? I'm not too sure. So here we can see, so that's the plastic piece on top of the bolt there, and you can see that it hides the hop wheel. Now, I'd much rather this, because you lock your bolt to the rear and we can adjust our hop without having to split the uppers. Or with like a normal M4, you'd put your hand through. I always put my hands through the magwell and just use the tip of my finger to do that, which is far easier than anything VFC has to offer. Sorry for throwing strays at VFC, but I've always found the MWS hop unit just fine as it is. You can put upgraded hop units in them, but then it requires a tool to spin them, and I just don't really need that. So I can put the upper and lower back together, put the stop back on, and there it is, the PCC back together. There is your deep dive in terms of compatibility. Now, you might say, well, you didn't mess with the lower, and that's true, I didn't, but it's pretty much mostly standard bits. I mean, there might be some differences here and there. We'll look at that in another video because we're already in 30 minutes. But for most of the compatible parts or parts that people want to replace are usually in the top half of the gun. So most parts you'd fit in like a trigger box or a Z plate, which I'm pretty sure this is going to be, you know, the same as all the other Z plates. So Z plate shouldn't be a problem. Apart from that, usually what people do is put an M-pass in it, barrel hop parts, buffers, bolt weights. Usually, I have to keep repeating myself, but you know, it's left alone. There's not really much you have to do there. A Z plate would be nice. And let's whack a mag in, just do a quick function test. Yeah, this thing, the more I play with it, it's like, it hiccuped a little bit in the first video yesterday, but since that, and I've gassed all the mags up and just put some rounds through it, it's like it's starting to, I don't really always like the term bedding in, but everything sort of relaxes into the place that it should be, and everything, you know, sort of vibrates, and, you know, things aren't sort of locked together, which they might be from like manufacturing, or, you know, the factory torquing everything up and slapping it in a box. So loosen the gun up a bit, get some rounds through it, and this thing just keeps being better and better. So there is the Daniel Defence PCC from Double Eagle, and this looks like it's going to be an absolute fan favourite. Thanks for joining me. Hopefully I've answered some of your questions that you guys have been bombarding my email with. And thanks for tuning in as always. Check out the link in the description. You can join the Discord group and get involved with the community. There's over 2,000 of you in that Discord group, and we always chat airsoft and maybe not airsoft related stuff. So get involved with the community. And as always, thank you very much for watching. And from me and Bench, we'll be seeing you in the next video.